Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Unitedverse, everybody. I am your host, Sean. We are back. It is the return of the Man United News Roundup. It's been a while. I feel like it just, obviously, with international break, there's not a lot of news, despite the media's best efforts to try to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but not a whole lot. We usually tack some of that onto the match previews, match reactions kind of stuff. But today we got a full-fledged news roundup because there is a little bit to talk about. Now, I know if you saw my post, some of you did. I did plan to do this yesterday. Not feeling so great yesterday. Feeling a little better today, but yesterday, not feeling great. So I needed a day to recharge. So I do appreciate you being patient, understanding that yesterday was just not going to happen for this guy. But we're doing it today. But I did try to make sure there's enough content out there for you guys during that international break as well, including the scouting report special and everything else. And so we also got a scouting report coming out this week as well. So a lot jam-packed week coming out. Obviously, the preview today, we're going to talk about, not the preview, sorry, the news roundup today. We will be doing the match preview for Brentford later on this week. You got another scouting report special and most likely the season 3 finale of What If. If you guys have been following along, 3 episodes of season 3 have dropped. We'll do the third one coming out this week. It has to do with goalkeepers, so keep that in mind as well. Maybe you guys can take a guess at what it might be. Now that you've seen a couple of those episodes, you know what kind of the gist is there. But yes, the season 3 finale will have to do with goalkeepers. So let's dive in today, though, because today is all about the latest and greatest news. We're talking the Ballon d'Or ceremony. We're talking about Carlos Baleba as well. I'm sure you guys have all seen the news and followed along other channels. I'm a day behind because I was sick. But you know the channel is more about me hearing what you guys have to say anyway. We're not here to break the news. We're here to discuss the news. So, but then today is also going to be interactive because I want your help with a little piece of homework or a little assignment that we're going to work on here live on the channel. So keep an eye out for that, and we're going to do that a little later on. So we're going to be rating United on a couple different criteria. So I want your ratings, I want your rationale for those ratings, and I want your solutions for those as we go along. So busy show today. So make sure you like and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out the memberships, the best way to get involved in the content we put out on this channel. You can have suggestions for What If, scouting report players, and then Legends members can even join in on the weekly kickabout. Remember, there's no midweek kickabout this week. We did that on Sunday. So keep a lookout for the next one, though. So and then also brand new designs in the Unitedverse Everybody store as well. Tons of new designs dropped over the last week or so. Some fun ones, some really cool ones, some that I'm probably going to end up buying. So go check it out. And then also, too, if for anyone who buys anything from the United store, Unitedverse Everybody store, snap a photo, maybe post it on the community tab, maybe email it to me. The email's in the channel description, or post it on socials and make sure you tag us. I love to see people repping the channel, love to see the support. I'll give you a shout out too if you want to send me an email or post it. I'll push it on one of the streams and show it off. But you've seen Dylan rocking some of the shirts. You've seen me rocking some of the shirts. There's other stuff out there, stuff like the mug as well. I love my Fergie Time mug. You guys see me drink this all the time. So let's get stuck in. Let me get involved with the live chat. You guys know Lucky Sings in the house. Big up, says, my advice, Ruben under pressure, mix it up a little bit to get another big result. Yeah, I wouldn't mind making a couple changes. We'll talk a little bit more about that ahead of the preview and whether or not Brentford or Sunderland are the matches, which one maybe is the match to shift things up a little bit, keep some players fresh, maybe make a couple changes. Not a lot. I'm not saying a wholesale starting 11 like it's a friendly in the summer or something, but maybe change keeper, maybe throw Cubby in, maybe give Xerxes a run out. Let's see what happens. But big up, Lucky. Good to see you again. Dark Crow, big up, man. Hope you're doing well, Dark Crow. And, of course, Box. Yes, guys, make sure you get the like button hit. Make sure you subscribe as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the other content coming out. Not everything we put out is live. The What If episodes usually aren't live just because it would take a while to get through those if I did. They're so bite-sized. They're like eating potato chips. They're super short. 10, 15 minutes at most. So keep a lookout for those. But happy birthday, belated birthday, I guess I should say, Aiden Heaven. When I wrote this and was planning to do this, it was his birthday. Aiden Heaven turned 19 yesterday. 19 is crazy. That's insane. I've lived twice as long as this kid with some change thrown in there. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to remind myself of that. Thank you, Aiden, for making me feel old AF. But I still hope to see you get some minutes in these next couple matches. I think that Shaw has been playing a lot of minutes. He's one that maybe I would shift up a little bit. We saw Heaven, Fredrickson, McGuire. They started against Grimsby. Now, obviously, we're out of that cup. No FA Cup. Who knows what we get in the first round? I don't know if Ruben will take a chance and maybe start having give Shaw a little bit of rest. Who knows? We'll talk about that one later on in the week. But yes, happy belated birthday, Aiden. I think it's Clayton Blackmore's birthday today, too. So big up, Blackie. Big up, man. Fans of a certain vintage might remember him. Let's talk about this Ballon d'Or ceremony, you guys. What are your thoughts on that? I will say I'm not too humble to say you guys remember I called Ousmane Dembele winning that, right? I called that like as soon as PSG won the Champions League. I said, and even before that, I think I was saying if they win and Ousmane Dembele scores, he deserves it. They just won everything. They were dominant. They were absolute up until that Club World Cup. But really, do we rate the Club World Cup anyway? I don't know if anyone does. But yeah, I called Dembele winning that one. Good to see. He absolutely deserved it. I was extremely happy that freaking Mo Salah didn't win it. Because just what do you get for winning the league? That's not enough. I still say Carvajal was absolutely robbed last year. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to nitpick about it. I'm not a Real Madrid fan, so it is funny, though, that Real Madrid keep boycotting the ceremony when people don't win. Like, none of the players just want to go and hang out and just be there. Like, it's so weird, Madrid, man, the way they act sometimes. I just don't get it. Box says, yeah, I mean, it's probably Liverpool-based, probably just the same nonsense source. Mo Salah was not robbed. Mo Salah will probably not win one before he is done because you just can't. Haaland will probably win one before he does, especially the way City are playing. I just can't see. Mo Salah has not really. What does he have? Like, I mean, he's got like a pen and like an assist. How many has Salah scored so far this season? I'm not saying he's gonna have a bad season. You guys can get in your early shouts though. Any early shouts for next year's winner? Who do you guys see? I think it probably could be Haaland at some point in the near future. I saw Lamine Yamal's dad throwing a fit that he didn't win. Guess what do you call it? Moral damage, emotional damage. The kid is like 9 years old. He's got time to win a Ballon d'Or. Just chill, Lamine Yamal. That's why I'm not too fussed about Haaland. He's still like, what is he, 25 now? Like, Haaland will be fine. But big up Scott McTominay, though, for finishing 18th in the rankings. He finished higher than Erling Haaland, higher than Declan Rice, higher than Virgil van Dijk, too. So absolutely big up Scott McTominay. Just buzzing for him. He had an absolute stellar year last year in Napoli. Was he player of the year? Like, Scudetto. The guy was an absolute baller, man. Good for him. But yeah, let me know your shouts, your early shouts. Box says Vitinha. Vitinha is absolute, like, I think I said it. I think Statman Dave like a month ago put like a post like, who are you signing for or something, if you like dream signings. And I think I commented on his post like, if money is no object, Vitinha is who I want as like that Bruno Fernandes replacement. I think as a deep lying playmaker, Vitinha is easily one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world at the moment. The way he is really adjusted from what he was at Wolves to what he is at PSG, just patrolling that deep area, getting on the ball. Like, he is an absolute baller, Vitinha. I love that guy. He's a like top player. So, but yeah, it was good to see him get some recognition. Asif, welcome back. It's been a minute. Can you talk about the lesser known loanees, Ennis, Hugo, Harrison, Wheatley? We can touch upon. I don't have any notes prepared for them today, but we usually do shout outs periodically in these streams when these players are doing well, whether it's VTech. We've done a shout out for Ennis in the past recently as well. And so keep an eye out. We do them on the channel pretty regularly. But it's good to see someone else, back in the youngsters. I did pretty much live tweet and live comment both the under 18s match and I think a little bit of the under 21s. I was a little sick during the under 21, so I was a little out of it. But watch both of them this weekend. You guys know this channel is a big supporter of the youth teams as well. We did a live watch along for one of the academy matches last year. Justin and I went to an FA Youth Cup match this last January when Justin and I were over there. That was a blast as well. I got to watch Cheeto do his thing live. Dude's an absolute unit, by the way. But big up, Asif. Good to see you again. Fox says, I think Yamal was too high in second. Yeah, Yamal, I mean, for what did Barcelona win? Because I don't watch La Liga a whole lot. So they won La Liga, right? Is that, I can't remember now off the top of my head. Justin is in the chat. He'll let me know. But that was it, right? They didn't really look great in Champions League until that certain point. So Fox says Yamal is likely will be the fave. Dude, if Yamal comes in and wins one ahead of Haaland, it's going to be interesting. If he comes in and wins one ahead of Mo Salah, going to be interesting. I'd be all for that just for the banter alone, Box, for real. Kane been great so far, yeah. Again, it's really got to be about trophies, and then when it falls upon a World Cup year, and that's why I think Carvajal got robbed because of what he did. But in the World Cup with Madrid that season as well, I think that he absolutely got robbed last year. But it is what it is. Keep going along, getting your shouts in for next year's Ballon d'Or. We're obviously pretty early on in the season, but it's always nice to think about. So let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford because, again, a couple days behind simply because I was not feeling great over the weekend. But let's get your thoughts on Marcus Rashford because so many outlets, so many rivals, and even the United fans as well, already trying to bash amorim strictly off the back of Rashford scoring a goal on the weekend. Assist, and he got his goal as well. So apparently United are the problem, according to some of these outlets. To be honest, I mean, in like looking at it from off perspective, to be honest, as far as Marcus Rashford is concerned, yes, United could be the problem for him, but that doesn't mean that we are a problem necessarily. We were just a problem maybe for Rashford, whether he got tired of it, maybe he just wanted to play the position he wanted to play. Maybe he just wanted to always play for Barcelona, and he's 27 now, and that was his last chance. I couldn't tell you, but the haters are conveniently leaving out the reason that he was dropped for Barcelona's match. I think it was against Getafe. He was dropped because he was late for training. He did not start. He started from the bench. And again, the reason he was dropped is almost a reflection of the reason that he was so easily moved on and so easily dropped by Ruben Amorim. He's got poor attitude, poor behavior, and he's got poor form, arguably for the last couple of years. So there's been a lot of revisionism going on. You saw it with McTominay as well. You saw it with Antony even as well. You even saw it the other weekend with Onana as well. Like, it's getting to be a little ridiculous, the flip. This is why you don't go to social media for if you want fan opinion, because half the accounts are bots, the other half is just ridiculous. But it is what it is. I mean, he showed late the training. Hansi Flick dropped him the bench again. The same kind of stuff. Now everyone's gonna forget about that because he came on and did well. But at the same time, like, it was Newcastle he scored. Sorry, so he just got an assist. But again, is it worth it? Is it worth it if a player is going to come on and as a sub after being dropped to the bench for poor, tardiness or poor behavior, attitude issues? At what point, where's the line between sucking it up and just dealing with it if they come on and score a goal? Like, Ten Hag got criticized for dropping Cristiano Ronaldo for attitude issues. And I'm not comparing Marcus Rashford to Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be a point where you can't reward that kind of behavior, and you just got to move on and just not care. Like, cool, good for Rashford. He's doing his thing, but we had to move him on. There's bigger. Same with Garnacho. If Garnacho comes on and scores a hat trick at the weekend for Chelsea, we can't sit here and say, see, Amorim's a problem. We can't do that kind of stuff. The sheer amount of flip-floppiness coming from the same fans who bashed Rashford when he was still at United. It's hilarious to listen to it and to read it and to watch it, man. It's such freaking flip-flops, dude, for real. Box says, fair play to Rashford. He's a good United player. He's playing for the club he wants. Just want him still. Well, if he keeps doing it, then he's just doing it. So it is what it is. I mean, you're happy. Same with McTominay. Like, there's no hard feelings. McTominay didn't have bad attitude. I think McTominay and Rashford towards those later years are probably the opposite end of the spectrum when it came to attitude. Big up, Danny, just taking a break at work. Yep, pop in. It's going to be a little interactive later on, Danny, if you're still around. You're not busy working. I'm going to have you guys help me rate United and assess United on 10 different criteria. You guys get to play PFA analysts for a little bit later on. So if you're able to stick around, awesome. Big up, Mad Hatter. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you, or woman. Don't know. Agile's back in the house. Big up, Agile. I haven't seen Lionhearts in a while. Anybody seen Lionhearts? We need some Luke Shaw vibes in here. Big up, I am Titanium, man. Good to see you again. Um, Matt Hatter says, I'll always be a Rashford supporter. Never forget what he did during COVID. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he did. I think that just as far as just what he did as a player for the last couple of seasons just wasn't enough. Scholesy went in on him pretty harsh recently, just talking about just how disgraceful he's been, the way he just behaved walking around the pitch. It's the same stuff that we've all said, the same stuff a lot of United fans have said. But my issue is these same fans are now saying that Amorim's the problem. We shouldn't have sold Rashford. Like, it just, we can't have it both ways, and we have to get a point where we can't reward poor behavior just because a player can score a goal. We just can't do that. And the reason Rashford was dropped to the bench over the weekend is because he was late to training, and so it is. Box says McTominay proper pro. He always says he still watches. Oh yeah, he's a United fan. Everybody is. Once a red, always a red. And it's good to see him finishing in the Ballon d'Or rankings above, Declan Rice and Van Dijk and Erling Haaland. So good to see that, man. I'm happy for McTominay. I'm happy. Is it weird that I'm happier for McTominay than I am for Rashford? Like, I don't know. You guys let me know. But yeah, I just had to call out the flip-floppiness, the backtracking for the short memories of all these people. Debasi says, man got off the rails hearing big cash wages. Yeah, maybe. It's anyone's guess. I mean, I still think Rashford just got burned out. I think it didn't help that he was doing so much off the pitch. Now, I'm not saying that stuff was bad. I'm just saying, as a human being, you can't burn the candle at every single end 100%. And Rashford, for a year or so, was going hard. He had surgery issues that he was dealing with. He was balling out for United. He was doing all this stuff with the kids. He has books and all this stuff coming out. Like, he had one of his better seasons. Like, and all that was happening at once. You just get burned out. And then amidst all that, you just never get away from scrutiny. It's one of the things he said in that interview not too long ago. It's like, you just can't be you, like, outside of like your home, because it's always there. I think he just got burned out from just being at United in general. I don't think necessarily it was like the club was like negative. I think he just wanted to go someplace different. It just happens. It just is what it is, man. Box says the older United players come across quite negative, but to be fair, these last 13 years have been negative. Yeah, I think some of the former players lack a bit of context sometimes personally. I'm not saying I know more than them or anything like that. I just think they just need to understand sometimes this isn't the same situation. There's a lot of differences, i.e. the people in charge, the manager, the players around them. Like, there's a lot of differences. Football itself has changed, even though and I said this a couple times in recent months, football is now starting to kind of orbit back around to this transition counterattack. Even you guys even saw Pep over the weekend. It was like there were times where City were literally sitting in a 4-4-2 with Marmoush and Haaland. So it all comes, it's like fashion football. It just goes around, like bell bottom. Remember bell bottoms were a thing back in like the early 2000s for women. I don't wear bell bottoms, but Matt Hatter says, I love seeing all the former academy players succeed other clubs. Started watching Napoli. I was gonna watch Napoli yesterday. I think I just forgot it was on. So Debasi's. Yeah, we haven't gotten to Baleba yet, my friend. We're still on. We're about ready to talk about Baleba. So you guys can get involved in the poll. I did put a poll up there. Want to gauge your opinion on Baleba and see what's going on, because we're going to talk a little bit about some of that as well. So I am Titanium says Nicky Butt was sticking up for Rashi. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of that this morning. The Good, the Bad, the Football, the podcast that he and Scholesy do. And it was funny. It's always funny, but Scholesy, he kind of says the same thing whenever he talks about United. So it's like, I get the feeling sometimes if you just watch one of those, you'll pretty much see all of them. It's like going to a wedding. No offense. So let's move on, guys. Make sure to like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stick around too if you guys want to get involved in the interactive stuff after we talk about Baleba, because I got a fun little game for us to play together. So Baleba, United supposedly made a big bid for Baleba in the summer, but Brighton just weren't listing any offers. They didn't give us a price. They were just not even going to listen at all. They just didn't want to sell. It happens sometimes. Reportedly now Baleba was open to the move, wanted the move, but was respectful to Brighton, didn't push them, didn't pressure them, didn't, refuse to train any of that stuff. Consummate professional, not a problem with that. Of course, this left a lot of us fuming because not necessarily because, oh, we wanted Baleba, but I think it was because we needed a couple midfielders and we didn't get a single one. And I think Baleba kind of got lumped into that. We did push for some midfielders late on the window, but we just left it too late. And kind of like Frankie de Jong, it seems like we were looking at Baleba when it was never really realistically going to happen. So the issue now is Baleba hasn't exactly been pulling up trees this season. Kind of left a lot of people to believe that maybe he's been put off a little bit by Brighton's refusal to even listen to offers. He's been put off, his head's turned. He has not played 90 minutes for Brighton at all so far this season. And he started 4 of the 5 Premier League matches. He's also been the first player to be hooked when he started. Not like there have been times where multiple players are hooked at the same time, right? You do mass subs, but he's always among that first group to be subbed off, even when he has started matches. So he's not playing full matches. He also liked a post by Cheeto after this weekend's match when Cheeto scored on Instagram. And so there's a little bit of connection there. So now Brighton manager Fabian Hurzeler added fuel to all this speculation fire recently. Let's look at what he had to say this week. There's a couple slides here, so we're going to go through them here. When a young boy reads there is interest from Manchester United with a big offer, it might affect him deep down. That's also part of the development to understand that when you play well, there comes a big offer, there comes a big club who wants to have him. I think it's normal for a young player when the media creates the noise around him. It's not easy for this player to handle it. Therefore, we need to give him the time and support so he comes back to his best performance. I think everyone gets affected, especially when you are that young and you hear these kind of things, no matter if they are wrong or right. But it's just noise we don't need. We know all about that at United. He continues, but then to keep pushing, to be humble, to stay here in Brighton, try to make the next step with the team. That's something we have to keep on working with him. We need to understand his feelings, his emotions, where he comes from, and that's our responsibility. So Fabian Hurzeler kind of basically admitting, yep, the noise is there. We don't like it. It seems like it's a bit of a distraction. It's normal to assume that a young player is going to be distracted. It might affect him on many levels. You guys get your thoughts in. I like Baleba a lot. Not 115 million a lot, but I like him a lot. However, I do think that I'd rather spend one Baleba fee on a couple different players. But you guys, that's just how I roll. I doubt it's actually going to take 115 million, but if so, there are other options. Let's see what you guys are saying. Box is Baleba looking like a 35 million center midfielder. Yeah, he's not back to his best, are he? He says maybe they'll be sensible. Would you even spend 70 million on him though? I don't know if I would want to spend 70 million on him. They're like my price is a little different. It's a little bit more grounded in actual transfer value and not just modern inflated prices personally. Let's see. Matt Hatter says Minta should be he's a tight little player, isn't he? Let's see. Device says, no, we need that noise. Who'll be front runners to sign him? Rob Tab, big up, Rob. Good to see you again. Says 150 million is too much. Yeah, what are you guys saying in this poll here? So far, you guys say not for 115 million. Now it's tied. It's literally a 3-way tie here between absolutely pay whatever it takes. And then 33% say not for 115 million. And then 33%, there are better options out there. I think I'm probably somewhere in between all three. Maybe not the top one. It is a bit too much. For Retail reiterated yesterday amidst all this that United and Amorim in particular really still like Baleba. So who knows what's going to happen? What do you guys? Is he a 115 million pound player? Are there other options that you like out there? Someone like Anderson, someone like Boubacar Kamara. If Villa end up still struggling, I would absolutely take Boubacar Kamara. João Gomez, if Wolves are still struggling, is another good shout, I think. Does it worry you at all that Baleba is potentially so easily distracted by all this and loses some of the form because of rumors or a failed transfer or all that speculation? Like, if a player can't cope with that kind of noise, can he be trusted to cope with the pressure of playing for United? Because if this is enough to throw him off, then there's no point in buying him. If a 115 million pound player is dropping form like this simply after just rumors about joining United, he'll freaking die. He'll literally have a heart attack if he joins us. He will. That's just plain and simple truth, man. I am Titanium says, give him Sancho, get Baleba. All right, good shout. Oh man, Darren Asante, welcome, man. Big up. Let's see what you have to say. Baleba changes everything, especially as United are going to get a ton of money next summer from free wages. Yes, but it changes everything. What do you mean? Like, is he the difference maker in midfield? Because he's not really showing it right now at Brighton. And again, is it an issue it's an issue for me that a player can drop form simply because of this kind of little rumor of United? Like, being at United, we've seen United swallow up some really great players recently just with pressure. I mean, look at Rashford. He's completely burned out. 115 million is a lot. You could literally get 3 solid midfielders for that much money. 2, if you want to push it, maybe go get Anderson and maybe get Stiller. You can get Anderson and Stiller for that much money, and then your midfield is sorted. I don't think you're going to get Anderson and like Wharton for that much money, but you can get someone like Anderson, and like Stiller to play alongside each other, and you'll be just fine. Let's see. Bach says Wharton, Anderson, Stiller, Agume, Kamara. Literally, are you just listing my scouting reports? Box, yeah. I love Kamara. I wanted Kamara since he was at Marseille, when he was captaining that Marseille side sometimes as a teenager. He was available as a free when Villa picked him up, so they got him as a free agent, which I am extremely envious of. Obviously, he had that big injury a couple years. He's fine now. He looks great. I love Boubacar Kamara. He's so good. Titanium wants Anderson. Yeah, Anderson would be kind of like that Baleba-esque alternative, that physical, gets around, puts in a bit of a tackle, leaves a little on you, has that hustle, has that work rate, can carry the ball, beat that press. We've seen all that's the Anderson. You need someone like Wharton, and you need someone like Anderson. You need someone like Stiller, then someone like Baleba. We need good. Ideally, you'd have someone who could do both in both positions, but it's just not going to happen. Big up, Jim. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. We're just chatting a little bit about Baleba right now and how his dip in form, not playing 90 minutes at all this season, among the first to be subbed off when he does start. And then there's recent rumors that maybe coming from Brighton manager Fabian Hurzeler, that maybe the United stuff over the summer has impacted him a little bit. So interesting stuff. Bach says could bring back the Anderson song as well. There you go. Yeah, you guys know, like, there are a ton of midfielders out there. We've scouted tons of them on this channel, and I mean tons. I'm pretty sure most of my scouting reports have been midfielders. Like, they just have. I did one on Bruno Fernandes replacements like last month. I did one on that as well. There are a lot of midfielders out there all throughout Europe. And then if you want to even explore, I've got a couple coming up in my next scouting report special that play in like Croatian league and stuff. Like, there are good players all over the place. So I think Lucky says, personally, we should make it bigger for Brentford. Yeah, big up, Lucky. Rob, big up, Rob. Yes, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe. So far, you guys are saying not for 115. So let me know your alternatives to Baleba. Let me know what you think about the fact that he's so easily potentially distracted and put off by just the noise, the bids from United. Like, because if he can't handle that, then there's the other side of that coin too. A player, like, what happens? Let's say like devil's advocate. Let's say in like 3-4 years, Real Madrid, Barcelona come calling. Is he going to do the same thing? If, let's say, we sign him and then he has dreams of going to play in Spain, Real Madrid come in, we don't really want to listen to offers. He's just going to have a dip in form for us. Like, that's this mentality. Now, he's young. I'm going to caveat that he's young, and so I get it. It's hard. I get it. But this is where you really start to see the intangible stuff. We kind of saw it from De Gea. Remember when De Gea, whenever we get into contract talks, his form would dip. He'd start making a few more errors. Like, again, this is where that mentality, that intangible stuff, the stuff you can't measure with a GPS heart rate monitor, the stuff you can't measure with GPS and all that stuff. And this is the stuff you have to look at and see. And Baleba, even admittedly from having Fabian Hurzeler, could be affected by a lot of that stuff. And so it's interesting. Let's see. Box says, imagine Brighton get relegated. Yeah, and this is why I'm holding off on my my January deals video until about December, because some of it is going to depend on table position. Some of it depends on contract situations with players. There are players who are going to be out of contract soon that definitely could be gotten for a cheap deal in January. We need to strengthen in January. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We need a midfielder in January. It just has to happen. And so I would argue that we need to look at like some wingbacks as well, some proper wingbacks. And I've got options for that as well. I've got my Diogo Dalot full-on wingback replacement in my next scouting report special. So keep an eye out for that one as well. Rob says, need to find the next Giggs, Rooney, or Owen. Yeah, I mean, our scouts need to do well. I think Wilcox is in a good position to do that. Looking at guys like Heaven and whatnot, I think that Wilcox is good at that. Vavell is going to be really good at uncovering those players out from like different areas outside of England, outside of Europe, even out in like Mali or Cameroon or Ghana or something. I think he's got good connections there. And so I like what I see from some of that stuff. But keep getting your thoughts on Baleba. Keep getting involved in that poll. We're going to move on a little bit. But yeah, if I had to say right now, if you could cut that price down to like half, I would be open to it. But I'm not paying 115. Maybe I'm just cheap. I don't know. I don't think I would spend more on Adam Wharton than I would on Carlos Baleba, if that makes sense. That's where I'm at right now. That's about the best way I can describe it. So let me get a drink here. Tastes better when it's coming from a Fergie Time mug. So yes, Dabasi, when we are big, we are big. That is true. Vanderson, didn't he go someplace this summer, Box? I can't remember. I thought he moved this summer. I remember we were linked. I mean, who the hell weren't we linked with for? Because he's at Monaco. Is he still at Monaco? Yeah, he is at Monaco. All right, good shout there. What is his contract situation? Let me see. Oops, wrong one. He's contracted till 2028. Yeah, good shot. I forgot about that kid. I have to go look and see how he's doing real quick. Let me go look it up on FB Ref while we're live. Hold on a second. FB Ref Vanderson. All right, good shout. Yeah, he's definitely in with a shout. Good memory there, Box. I forgot all about Vanderson. Devos says maybe Baleba's trying his best to drop his value. The way he's playing, he's easily cut it in half by now because it is absolute dog shit, man. Jim says, is it just rumor that has made his form dip like that? The wrong temperament. If you are paying that much, you got to look for someone who can deal with things like that. Yeah, I think it's oops, sorry, something happened here. Yeah, I mean, it's not just rumors necessarily. Fabian Hurzeler came out and gave the interview and kind of said some of this stuff. Now, again, we're all just talking about it. I couldn't tell you exactly what's going on, but it is interesting. Big up Rob Taft, by the way. Just became a member on the channel. Appreciate that, you guys. Yes, memberships are the best way to get involved in the content. Not only do you get the cool emojis and the badges, but you also get access to suggestions for like what if episode ideas. You get a good idea for an episode of What If, and I use it, you get a big shout out. Scouting reports. You got a player you want to see a scouting report on, you think is good, you want me to go check it out, I will go check it out and we'll give you a shout out. Legends members, you get to jump in on the Kickabout show that Dylan and I do every week. Jump in virtually, share your thoughts on the topics. So there's an option there. I love getting you guys on the channel. So you guys are funny. Absolute legend though, Rob Taft. Appreciate it. Bexy says, I think Wharton should be the number one target. I think obviously we need both. Because I think Manu is good. Manu is not a deep line playmaker though. And it just depends on how Amorim wants to play. Does he want someone who does what Bruno does and play makes, or does he want someone who will progress the ball, beat that first press, create some space, carry it up the pitch 10 yards, good in tight spaces? That's Manu. Manu doesn't quite have that physicality, I think, to play alongside someone like Bruno, personally, but he's also young. But I would probably spend more on Wharton than Baleba, but that's just me. But yeah, big up Bexy, welcome back. Wilfred Zaha. What about Wilfred Zaha? What if David Moyes didn't have a daughter? I don't know. You guys let me know. But yeah, the memberships are the best way to do that as well. So I wanted to give members discounts and stuff on the UvE store, but YouTube doesn't really like you doing that kind of stuff. I tried to give members extra shouts in giveaways when we were doing giveaways. YouTube doesn't like that kind of stuff either. So I'm doing what I can for y'all. So, but pick up. Rob says, see more of Steeler lately as Bundesliga been shown live on YouTube. He looks to have a bit of everything. I like him a lot. He reminds me a little bit of He Who Shall Not Be Named, but I think Steeler is getting in the game a little bit more. Don't forget about Hayden Hackney as well. He's pretty much always on my scouting list because he's just a good player. But yeah, Steeler is very, very good. It would kind of feel a little bit like Di Maria, though, because it does seem like Steeler only has eyes for Real Madrid, and I think that I don't want to go through another situation with a player he doesn't really want to be at United. So we'll see. Things can change. All things can change in football. So I am Titanium. You gotta let me know. If you're a member, I'll take it under consideration. Bexley says Anderson will be asset too. We just need help in midfield. Casemiro's probably going to leave. Bruno very easily likely leave. And so I do think we've needed minimum 2 midfielders for a while. We just don't seem to ever do well buying midfielders, it seems. But if both Casemiro and Bruno are gone this summer, we absolutely need a midfielder. So at least 2. So I think it stands to reason that we're looking at midfielders. Obviously, we put a big in for Baleba. We put a late loan move in for Conor Gallagher. That didn't go well. Atletico Madrid didn't want to just do a loan. So we're looking at him. We are looking at him. So Tabasi says Buwadi. Yeah, Buwadi's turning heads. He's still very young, though. He's still very, very young. So we'll see. But keep getting your thoughts in on Baleba. I'm going to take him off the screen here for a second because I think we're done with him. Let me just see. Yeah, we're done. Let me talk a little bit about some news, and then we're going to play a little game. So, guys, make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, because we're going to play a little game here in a second. So, before we do that, though, we're going to talk a little bit about the new Samuel Butthurts. So, remember we chatted a little bit in that match reaction with Dylan that the news that Samuel Butthurts is stepping down from the MEN after many years of just basically talking absolute nonsense and getting tossed out of pressers and getting called fat by Louis van Gaal. I've read that he's now the United correspondent for The Sun. So, I mean, make of that what you will. I think that's a little bit of a sideways move personally, but it sounds like his replacement is as chief United reporter for the MEN is going to be David McDonnell. So if you guys are ever familiar with that, he's written for the Daily Mirror for years. So I think it's Disco Mirror on Twitter is his name. But I like this guy already because he also didn't agree that Casemiro should have seen a second yellow against Chelsea over the weekend. So he gets my vote, but it is also not hard to do better than Samuel Butthurst. So, I mean, it is what it is. Matt Hatter says, I have Stiller on my Spur. Oh, you already got early access, huh? I got to wait till Friday because I don't need to spend extra to get it early. I'm old. I get the physical copy and I go get it because mostly because I got to trade in my old last year's to get money off because no point in having every single year lying around. So go take an FC25, trade it in for credit, get like $30 credit, and then knocks off $30 off the price. So it is what it is. Bexy's not happy with Ahmad. Been like that for a while. He's not a top player. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Ahmad with Dylan on the match reaction on Sunday. You guys can go back one in. Right now, I mean, he's old enough to where I think he should be doing better than he is now. He's been played out of position a couple times. I don't know if Amorim really knows where his best position is. Obviously, he was signed under Ollie, if you guys remember that. But what's worrying with Ahmad is that when somebody's injured, Ahmad's the one who gets kind of moved around a little bit. Ahmad doesn't really seem to have a set place in the side, a set position, a set role. He's played as a right 10. He's played as the right wing back. He's been playing as the left 10. Like, I don't really know I think his better position is probably going to maybe be in one of those right 10s, but we just signed 2 of them. And so it does seem like he could be moved on. Obviously, it's a little early for me to be going that hard on it, but we will see what happens. Matt Hatter, it's good news, says the best career mode I've played in a while, and I'm not EA Sports apologist. They really cooked with this one. Interesting. Yeah, I know. Everybody says it was harsh, man. I think that, honestly, Nicky Butt was the only one that I saw so far that really said, like, no, it was deserved. But I think even if you listen to Nicky Butt talk about it in that podcast, it was most of his rationale was to do with just basically Casemiro's like his like reputation almost, which is one of the things where I was like, that's not fair. Like it wasn't. I wouldn't even know if I'd call if that's a yellow. Like teams are going to be having players sent off every single week. There's no way that was a yellow. He has his hands on his shoulders, yes, but he doesn't even really foul him, and so it just doesn't make sense to me that would be called a yellow card. He wins the ball, he goes around the front, but it is what it is. We talked about that. Bexy says, get 40 million for him and buy a proper wingback. Well, I've got some picks. I forgot that Vanderson is still at Monaco. For some reason, I thought Vanderson moved. I might be thinking of who's that other kid, that other young Brazilian kid that we were linked with. He was at Flamengo. Danny will know, or Fluminense. Danny will know. Who is it? Oh, no, it was Flamengo. I can't remember his name now. There's so many players that it's hard to keep track of them all. So let's move on and do a fun little assignment. You guys want to do a little assignment with me? I know we're doing some schoolwork. So you remember that last week when I shared about a little project we did in my PFA class. We broke out into groups and we kind of were given a list of successful teams and we're given a list of struggling teams, and we had to rate them on some criteria. So my group decided to rate United because they know I'm a United fan, and they laughed when I looked at the criteria and I said, now I'm just give them zeros on everything. But my group was very generous. Wes, that's the guy's name, Franca. I feel like there was another one. Forget his. Oh, no, there was another kid playing in the Portuguese league too. Who was that kid? I can't keep track of them all. There's too many players. Who was the kid playing in the Portuguese league that we were looking at? It wasn't Quenda. It was the other one. Somebody let me know. So anyway, we broke up into groups. We assessed these clubs. We assessed United on 10 criteria. I want to know what you guys have to say. So I'm going to put this up on the screen and ask for you guys' help on doing this kind of stuff. So that's who it was. Roger Fernandez. Thank you. I just have a bad memory. Sorry. So these are the 10 areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, these are 9 areas. Sorry. 9. I counted 10. Sorry. 9 little areas, or sorry, 8. I can count. I swear. It's out of 10 that we had to rate United on. Let's go through this real quick. So I want your input on this. So first up, we've got identity. Now, identity, as you can see here, is the team plays with a clear identity and a way of going about doing things. So you can tell like with the way they play, that they have a set system. They know what they're doing. You can tell like when Pep sets up his team or when Jurgen Klopp plays with his team, this is how they play. This is how do United have that? How would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10 for United? Now, again, my group gave United like 4s out of everyone. I gave everyone 0s because we're garbage. Debasi says 4 out of 10. So identity. How would you rate our identity out of 10? We play with a clear identity and a way of going about doing things. I don't see one. Danny says a 5. You guys are saying pretty much where my group said, aside from me. I was like the one naysayer who was just saying 0s for everything because we're so garbage. Jim says 3. Matt Hatter says 2. Everyone says 5. 5. We got 4, 5, 5, 2. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna put 4 on here for you guys. So that's about average without stopping actually doing math. What about connection? Connection. The team demonstrates strong relationships with good connection and communication with each other on the pitch. The team demonstrates strong relationships with good connection and communication with each other on the pitch. What would you rate that as? Identity only because I can recognize the badge. You're funny. What is this junk? You guys are super funny. Danny says 0. 2. See, I was giving zeros for everything. Debasi says 2. That's funny. Box says 2. Mad Hatter says 0. Says 1. We're gonna go 1, and that's, I think, even that is being generous personally. What the heck? There we go. I'm gonna go 1 here. So look at that. We're cruising. Let's go. Let's move on to values. The team demonstrates key shared performance values and operated according to them. These are things like playing for the badge, playing for 90 minutes, not pulling out of duels, kind of holding each other accountable, busting a gut kind of a thing. When you make a mistake, are you tracking back? Kind of the values of hardworking, the values of just the values you see on the pitch. What would you guys rate for that? Again, that's the team demonstrates key shared performance values and operated according to them. What would you rate that? Values, then Danny says 1, Debasi says 3. It's hard because you can on one hand you can kind of say like they are trying, but they're just not good enough at it. On the other hand, we've seen a lot of players who just don't do it, who just don't look like it. Jim says 0 value. Rob says 2. I mean 2, yeah. 2, 2, 2. I'll go 2 for this one. This is going about as what I thought it was going to go. Let's move on. Action. This team was aligned, no individual agendas, and took appropriate action towards key goals and objectives. They had a game planned. So are we aligned without individual agendas, and are we taking appropriate steps toward achieving the goals together? Are we playing as a unit, basically? What would you guys give action on that one? Matt Hatter says 1. Oh, you guys are funny. Yeah, let me know what you think about action. Minus, did you say -0? 2. Tobias says 2 for action. I knew this was going to be fun. You guys are making me laugh. Danny says 1. Yeah, it doesn't really. I don't think we have a whole lot of like divas anymore, but I do not think that we do a good job of taking steps to work towards the goals personally. Doesn't seem like we are able to find solutions to the issues. A lot of you say 2, 2, 1, 0, 1. I might go 1.5 for this one then, because you guys are killing me here. I'll do 1.5. All right, this one is the one where I'm like definitely not feeling it. Readiness. The team appears to be prepared properly for eventualities and ready for performance. Do we look like we've prepared? Do we look like we've watched footage? Do we look like we've done opposition analysis? Do we look like we are prepared for, and this can mean anything, for the opponent, for the occasion, like even things maybe like rest defense. Let's see. Readiness 5 until the counters. Well, that's a rest defense thing. I'll read that again. Readiness. The team appears to be prepared properly for eventualities and ready for performance. Do we look like we're prepared? Do we look like we're ready to go? I think we start well. We look good when we're on the front foot, when we're pressuring like we do most games, but then it's like the eventualities jump in. We concede a cheap goal. We don't score a couple sitters, heads drop kind of thing. And maybe that's more down with resilience, right? It's based on amorim. So you guys saying 5, 3, couple of 3s. All right. So you guys are being a little generous with this one. Big up. I can go 3. We can do a 3. We'll put a 3 in there. How about intelligence? The team makes the correct decisions by solving problems that emerge in the game. This is where your ability to creative problem solving, to think on the spot, to dynamically think and come up with interesting ways to get yourself out of situations. Let's see. Jim says 1. I've only put 1 because I keep putting 0. Well, that's awful nice. Danny says 0. Yeah, this is one where I'm like, no, we lack a little bit of intelligence when it's seeing out a result. When it's like, let's say you trust us if we go a man down necessarily. Like we saw when Casemiro went off, it kind of fell apart a little bit. Chelsea, we definitely allowed Chelsea back into that game. -2 says Tabasi 0. At least we might get 1-0. I'm going to put a 0 for this one because this is just not good. All right, let's look at flexibility. This team was able to stay in the moment and do what mattered in key performance situations. The team was able to stay in the moment and do what mattered in key performance situations. Are they able to kind of, like a river, you can't beat it into submission. You kind of flow with it and adjust a little bit. Does the team look like they can do that? Does the team look like they can kind of adjust to different situations as they unfold? You guys are funny with this. -19. You guys are funny. Flexibility, Debasi says 4 for flexibility. Okay. Um, I can see that. My group was very generous. Danny says 2. Matt Hatter says 0. So far we're looking at like a 2 there. I'll let a couple more votes trickle in. I'll read this again. Flexibility. The team was able to stay in the moment and do what mattered in key performance situations. 3 says yeah. So 0, 0. We're gonna go 2 on this one. 2 kind of seems like it's splitting the difference a little bit. Oops. And finally, resilience, something that we've talked about on this channel many times. I did a whole live stream on mentality and resilience in the United squad. That was the whole stream. Remember, I did that like a year ago. The team demonstrated a strong inner belief and coped well with the pressure and overcame any setbacks well. Like, this to me is probably the easiest one to answer. The resilience is just not there. It just isn't. There used to be a time where maybe we concede and you'd think, all right, we're still in this. We got this. We're probably going to win still. Remember, we were under Ollie. We felt like that all the time, but it just doesn't. Danny says 0. Jim says 1. Resilience. Yeah, I'm definitely going against the. I'm definitely putting a 0 here. So highest score was a 4 in identity. Second highest, we looked at readiness. And then you've got a couple of 2s in there. But yeah, well, like literally no average scores in there whatsoever from you guys, which honestly is not surprising. Resilience, yeah. That's one of my big issues. And like I said, so when we did this little guy in class here, right, they elected me to speak on it. The guy who's running the class knows that I'm a United fan, so he was ready and willing. And so I went on a little bit of a rant. Basically everything we just did. I gave everybody 0s personally, but I went on a little bit of a rant about a lot of this. I don't see an identity. I don't see the team communicating with each other. I don't see people holding each other accountable. I don't really see that united value of hardworking, sacrifice, play for the badge a whole lot. Some players, yes. Maybe that's an ability thing. I don't know. Action. Are we taking steps to achieve these goals? I don't see us doing that very well. Readiness. We don't look like we're always super prepared for the opposition necessarily. Like, how many match previews have we done where I've said, literally, this is what this team's going to do. That team does it, and then we get destroyed because it doesn't look like we prepared for it. We did that well against Chelsea, I thought. I said in the preview we needed to press their defenders. We did that, and it helped us get some corners and stuff. Intelligence, flexibility, resilience. Resilience is in the mud. Like, it's just in the mud, and it has been for a while. Like, it's embarrassing. Tobias says, if they had won Europa League, I would have given them 5. Yeah. And so United is just struggling. They just are. They're not doing good at all. And there's a lot of key areas. You guys got to be little PFAs already. So Box says, yeah, Box did the math. Yeah, 13.5 out of 80. Not too shabby. Right on. Double digits at least. So what would your solutions be to some of these problems? What would you bring in? So my solution in the context of the class, so get your thoughts in what you would do. What you don't have to like make a big arching solution. You can address some of the individuals, but I said, we really need to work on that mentality. We need to have mental performance coaches available on staff. Like, Liverpool's psychologist is literally, his office is right next to the dressing room. He took us on a little bit of a tour virtually. It's right next to the players' dressing room at the training ground. Readily available to talk about anything, performances and everything like that. We don't really do that at United. We had a psychologist on as a consultant role. We need to have a fully dedicated mental performance psychologist staff that works one-on-one, also looks at statistics and things like that. Performance works in tandem with the nutritionist, with the coaches, with the physios, all that stuff, because all that is so intertwined. We need to have that. We need to have someone come in and speak to them as a group, and we need to have them address that as well. And that's probably the biggest thing they need to do. We need to work on that. Rob says, if this is a university score, they'd be kicked out. Box says, give them 80% wage cuts. I mean, they've already got a 25% wage cut. That's a big chunk of change for a professional. You're getting paid $200K a week, and that drops to $150K a week. That's a big chunk of change to miss out on. So it's interesting, though, when you kind of break that down. Matter says United Psych is probably Chat GPT. Yeah. Oh, you're probably not too far off there, but fun little activity, though. You guys did really well. Appreciate that. Gold stars all around. Head of the class, all of you. But as you can see, the problems at United, and that's 8 criteria spread across a couple different areas. The problem is not isolated. The problem is not just surface level. The problem is deep. It is spread. It is like a cancer. It is like a root of a weed. It just is spreading, spreading, spreading. How do you stop that? How do you stop it from spreading? And then how do you kind of remove it safely without removing, throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of a situation? Jim says we do need bench people. We need the bench people who needs. I don't know who needs what. So it's interesting. It really is. Developing some sort of resilient skills. It's hard too because there's also a multicultural component to this as well. Different cultures have different mindsets when it comes to mental health struggles, let alone mental health treatment. And I'm not like, oh, they think it's like demons, nothing like that. But some cultures, it's not spoken about, or they think of it certain ways. It's like religion. Different religions, different cultures have different ways of going about religion, for instance. It's very different. So there's that component as well. What I'm saying is there's not a universal approach for every player in the squad. Is what I'm mean. You've got African players, you've got South American players, you've got different players from different areas in Europe. Very different. It's different. But that's why you need a team of these. If United was serious, there's only 2 clubs in the Premier League that have dedicated psychology departments. That's Liverpool and Man City. What does that tell you? Ban social media. There you go. That could help, man. Rob, you've got one next to your name, Rob, so big up. But fun little interesting thing to do, looking at some of that. So it's always nice when I get to bash United a little bit in class. So I enjoy that stuff. So Lucky says, put me there. I'll give these guys more match freedom and go out there and perform. Lucky wants the manager's job. So that was fun. Thank you guys for helping me with that. It's always fun to get people more involved. You guys know I don't do like player ratings and stuff usually. It is what it is. If you want to do player ratings after match, we can. But in order to do that, it'd have to be here pretty much right after the match. But this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy. So Jim says we need to bench players who are playing badly and stop playing favorites, play players who deserve to play. I think it's hard, right? Who decides who deserves to play? What decides what players deserve to play? Everybody's going to have a little different criteria for that. It's very subjective. Does it do more in training, performing in the actual match? People are going to have 2 different answers to that kind of stuff. It's very difficult. That's why I don't envy coaches. I don't envy managers, because these decisions are difficult to make and they have long-term potentially consequences. One substitution here, one player off in the starting 11 kind of a thing is just, it can ripple effect for the whole week, the whole season sometimes. So Matt Hatter says, got to start at the grassroots level, get these sports psychologists more involved with the academy players. That was one thing I suggested too for one of the other assignments. And that's something that Matt Hatter, that I want to do. I want to go work with academies as well. That's why I'm in this PFA class. I want to do that. I have a lot of experience working with young guys in different settings as well. And so I think I would like to do that. I like to work on them to develop these basic skills at like 15, 16, 17. So when they get to be in their early mid-20s, they have those skills. And not only do they have them individually, they can then kind of help their teammates as well. That's what I'd like to do. But I live here. It's going to be difficult. So one of the things I suggested too at the academy level is having the older players go and kind of mentor the younger players, have like a little mentor-mentee kind of a situation. Every older player gets like a little academy buddy to kind of touch base with here and there. I think that could be a good little thing to do as well. Get the academy and the first teamers kind of meshing in a little bit. Bach says maybe fans have a part to play. Stop overhyping youngsters, calling them Ballon d'Or level, or demand they should play every game. Gives them big egos, delusions of grandeur. Yeah, that ties back to the social media thing too, right? Some people, I read that and I immediately think Cobby. I love Cobby. There was a time where I was like, pay him what he wants. He's a baller. Now I'm not so sure. And that happens sometimes. But I think social media definitely doesn't help. Ahmad obviously had this situation with social media, which on its surface, I don't really care about personally. Just Instagram stuff. Yes, read the room, but again, where's the line between players being able to just have friends, being able to post stuff, freedom of speech, whatever you want, and also being a little bit like wise and discerning with the. It is what it is. I don't have social media. This is a big reason for it, but a lot of people are not happy with that. I saw reports again today. I think they were coming from Butthurst though, so it is what it is. But the club just kind of talked to him, but they're giving him support reportedly because he was pretty upset about it. Obviously, he deleted pretty much everything. But what's this Baleba situation? Half of you say not for 115 million for Baleba. Interesting stuff. Bach says Ronaldo work ethic is insane. He was surprised that when he returned in 2021, the younger players didn't want to listen to him. I mean, maybe it's just a generational thing. Maybe that's a Ronaldo thing. Maybe that was too hard for Ronaldo's ego to handle, as being not being put on a pedestal by these young players. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to look at that, Box. I do think Ronaldo is a bit of a narcissist, and when you have a narcissist, that kind of blow to an ego doesn't tend to go down very well. And as you saw, when that thing happens, it's everyone else's fault. Everyone is to blame. Ten Hag's to blame. The youngsters are to blame. The club is to blame. I'm going to go talk to Piers Morgan. Nothing's ever Ronaldo's fault. And you can't have that, especially from a leader. So Rob doesn't understand their Ahmad stuff. It's not like they were both wearing Villa shirts. Yeah, I don't. Again, it's people are going to make mountains out of molehills. That's basically what social media is. It's just a platform for making mountains out of molehills these days. But thankfully, I don't have it. I just have the Twitter account for the channel, so it is what it is. But it's a generational thing. It's no coincidence that with the advent and then the steep, steady rise of social media just in the last decade alone, there's also a coinciding rise in mental health issues, especially for teenagers. Depression, suicide, bullying, all that stuff, because social media it's good in so many ways and it's so bad in so many other ways. And it's so funny. My wife put together a little talk a while back. We're working with some churches on the concept of social media accounts for young kids and like cell phones and stuff. I think she wrote an article for a magazine on cell phone use in young kids, I think. But like you teach kids how to drive a car, right? They go through training, they get experience because you're giving them the wheel to a car. Like we don't seem to do that with like phones and social media accounts and internet and stuff too. And there's a lot of dangerous shit out there too. And then you open yourself up to the dangerous shit attacking you as well. And so it's interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Let's see what you got. Rob says, yeah, seen the footage of that clown attacking the kid who's been growing his hair. Yep, that was something I wanted to talk about too, but you walked me right into it. So it has been reported, Rob Taff, that the United are actually looking for the older guy who grabbed the other guy's hair. I always forget the kid's name who's growing his hair out. I think he was on Stratford Paddock the other day. But so that footage, yeah, the guy, we talked about that with Dylan. Dude, F that, man. If that was me and someone grabbed my head like that, just cancel the rest of the trip because I'm getting thrown in jail and going home because there's no way someone's putting their hands on me like that. But apparently United are looking for the guy who grabbed the other guy's hair, trying to identify him, and they will, press charges if they need to. Interesting stuff, man. But fair play to that kid. His hair, he's going to look like Cousin It by the time we actually go on a 5-game run. I don't know what he was doing saying 5. I mean, just do 2 and you'd still be where you're at right now, man. Seriously. Yeah, dude, I haven't had Facebook in a decade. Mad Hatter. I've never had anything other than that, other than the Twitter account for the channel. I still don't really quite get how Instagram works. I have no idea what TikTok does. I don't know what Twitch is or anything like that. Never did Snapchat even. I don't know what any of that shit is, dude. Seriously. I don't even think Skype is. That is the only thing I used to use was Skype for like video stuff, and I don't think they use that anymore. So Rob says there's huge pressure on these players. We forget how young they are. They are kids and they're given so much. Now they've earned it, to be fair, like very small. It's like less than 1% of these academy youngsters will go on to play professional football. And so, but it's like anytime I look at it like any sort of child celebrity story, like any sort of behind the music, look at what happened to a lot of celebrities who got started so young, access to so much money, so much power, so much all that stuff. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but kids aren't even allowed to like drive till they're 16, and yet we give them all this stuff at the same age. Like they can't handle it. Many of them, especially young men, they're still going through puberty at that age. Like the parts of your brain that feel emotions and the part of your brain that makes sense of those emotions, They don't develop at the same rate, and well into your teens. Players are still physically developing until their early 20s. And so all this stuff's going on, and we're like, here's a 100K a week. Here's first team this. Here's tour this. Here's all this. Here's commercials. Here's sponsors. Here's video games. All this stuff. Like, it's insane. This is why it's so important for young players to surround themselves with good people who know what they're doing, people who have experience or a little bit of know-how when it comes to finances, when it comes to financial planning and stuff. I mean, some of these kids are, like Garnacho's got a kid already. Like, it's insane, dude. It's insane, man. Guys are funny. Danny says, does have Facebook Messenger? Yeah, I haven't had Facebook in a while. Let's see. Matt Hatter says, now I'm imagining Gary Coleman at United when he said, is the first example I thought of, right? Just think of anything like Michael Jackson, any of the kids from like Saved by the Bell or something. Like, it's a struggle. It is. Macaulay Culkin is another good example. Like, Macaulay Culkin had himself emancipated. This kind of stuff. Like, he's a kid. That's insane. So, but yeah, United are looking for the older guy who grabbed the hair of the other guy. So there's that. But in terms of rating, however you want to rate United, however you want to assess United, thank you guys for having fun. That was fun, right? It was a fun little activity. You guys are basically PFA members now, right? However you want to rate United, one thing's for sure is that the Stretford End is going to be getting a bit louder soon. The club has announced that it's going to begin work to add 6,000 safe standing seats to the upper tier of the Stretford End. Total, all the work, the cumulative effort on that is hoping to be done by the end of October, but the first phase is planned to be completed ahead of the Sunderland match. So in a couple weeks, that first phase. So they're adding more standings, their safe standing areas to the Stretford End. So it's going to get loud. If you've always wanted to experience the Stretford End, this could be your chance. They've got more seats now. Those seats are probably season ticket seats, so it is what it is. But I bet it's a blast to stand there and sing for 90 minutes. I used to do that at Detroit City games and Hamtramck. There's one side of the stands is just standing room only, basically, with the supporters. But I do go to the Bishop Blaze ahead of kickoffs, though, when I'm at United, and it's basically the same thing. You're just standing and singing for like hours before the game, so it's a good time. But yeah, they need to fix the restrooms for sure. These restrooms are disgusting. They're always leaking and stuff, and it's like It's like going into a cave when I go into the restroom there. And it's no wonder that there's like rats and stuff, because you can literally just like walk right in almost. The only place you really don't have access to is like the pitch almost. Like, rats can get into there, birds get in there. Now they have a guy who comes in throughout the week with a falconer, and he clears out the birds, but it's so easy for anything to get in there, man. It's ridiculous. Like, it's so old. It's so old. Rob says probably remove the roof, sell more tickets. Yeah, it's either remove the roof or take away the toilet paper for the staff. That's the way we work these days. But that's it for me on news. There wasn't a ton, but I did want to get your guys' thoughts on Baleba and then some of that Rashford stuff, and then have a fun little activity. So I had fun doing that. It was always a good time. So where are we at on this Baleba? 23 votes. 48% of you say not for 15 million, not for 115. 22% of you still say pay whatever it takes. 26 say there are better options in general. And then 4% say we don't need a center mid, but that is the wrong answer. So you guys are wrong. So Rucky says, Sean is our training ideally, so Thursday. I don't know what that means. I would like to see these players address some of that mentality, because if you can take advantage of some of the intangible qualities, some of the leadership qualities that you see from like Maguire, De Ligt, Mizrahi, Bruno, Casemiro, add just a little bit of like mental performance training that's simple and easy to use. They can then like let that like impact the rest of the squad, especially the young players as well. And that's just how you empower players. You create leaders in that dressing room. It's just you equip them. It's not that hard. I'm not saying it's overnight success, but it just has to start someplace. And so the manager's got to really set the example too. I think Amorim could stand to do with a little bit of just in the moment stress management, maybe a little bit of learning how to respond instead of react in these pressers. Now, it doesn't help that a camera is constantly shoved in his face. I know he doesn't like that. He said he's not a fan of it. He's got to do so many interviews compared to other Premier League managers. I would hate that personally. This is why the whole halftime interviews for players who get subbed off is ridiculous. But I think he could do a little bit of that. So it is what it is. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Please make sure you've liked the video. Please make sure you have subscribed to the channel if you are new. Love seeing the community grow. We're on the road to 3K. We're getting there soon. It's right around the corner. I can feel it. I'd love to get there before Dylan and I go there in December. It'll be a blast. Check out the United vs. Everybody store. Tons of new designs in there as well. And keep a lookout this week for Brentford preview, scouting report special, and the final episode of the 3rd season of What If will be popping up as well. So lots going off. Can't wait to share that all with you, hear your thoughts on all that stuff as well. So make sure that bell is clicked too, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. If you're going back to work, if you're chilling, if you got school, whatever you got to do. But thank you guys for taking a little time and hang out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.